Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show, discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the PhinsPod. My name is Moose, your host, and today we're going to jump into the Fins' upcoming matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers. What should you expect from Tua in his third start, and how should the Dolphins manage the suddenly surging Justin Herbert? We're going to discuss all that, and as always, we'll take a quick look at the latest stories published over at PhinsPod.com. Let's dive in.
And then when you go to the other side of the ball, I like a lot of what Miami does, but I don't know if it fits against Justin Herbert and his damn great talents. First off, they'll design a few quarterback runs like we saw Kyler Murray do to the Dolphins last week, so that's scary. Justin Herbert's phenomenal against the blitz. The Dolphins like to blitz and do that. I would say negative Ghost Rider. Don't do that against this guy because you'll be running after guys for touchdowns. He's amazing against the blitz. So I think between those two things, I'm going with the Chargers. And I can't believe I'm saying it. I am, but I'm going to go 21-20. I mean, knowing the Chargers, they'll be up 21-20 and kick the ball off and everybody will fall down and the other team will return it for a touchdown to win the game. Who knows? But I do think they match up well, and it's one of those, I'm going Florio gut here, that I just feel like it lines up. Dolphins thinking they're great, Tua, everything, and here come the Chargers, dying to win a game here, and I think it'll end up that way this week.
So the 2-6 Los Angeles Chargers are going to be traveling to Hard Rock Stadium this weekend to take on the Miami Dolphins, who now hold the 7th seed at 5-3. Another loss for the Chargers is probably going to end a lot of the playoff talk. I mean, they're already pretty much out of it, but as Dolphins fans, we remember a time where 2-6, 3-5, 3-6, you're still in it. There's still some hope. So for that reason, I do think the Chargers are going to play hard. I don't think they believe their season's completely over. I mean, if they're looking at it in a competitive way, which all professional athletes usually will. So if they do lose, it's going to pretty much end all talk of any playoff push, like we said. Expect the Chargers to play hard. They're going to have their backs against the wall. It's going to be a tough matchup. And don't let the record fool you at 2-6. The LA Chargers are a quality team, and the real only struggles, in the record is just because of close games. They can't close out games. They're 3-15 in one-score games, and this season, all of their 6 losses have been less than 7 points. So, they do have a young team, but those numbers, may eventually lead to the eventual firing of Anthony Lynn. I do like Anthony Lynn. I think he seems to be a player's coach, and his players definitely like him, but, the rest of that staff, they just can't close. And so, hopefully they don't discover how to do that this weekend, but, we'll take a look at the matchup and determine, what we can expect from Miami. So defending Justin Herbert. So Justin Herbert has taken the league by storm. Of all the rookie quarterbacks, he's by far been the most surprising. I was always a fan of Justin Herbert. If you listened to, I believe episode 2, when we dove into the quarterback class prior to the NFL draft, you would know that. I really liked Herbert. I found that, in college, he had all the tools, everything he's doing. It's not like this wasn't present at Oregon. But there were just questions about, the offense that he ran at Oregon and his, whether or not he would be able to adapt to NFL coverages and NFL schemes and be able to sort of learn an offense. And he's put a lot of that to rest. He's shown pocket presence. He's able to move in the pocket well. He doesn't necessarily, hold on to the ball too long. He's making quick decisions. I think that has a lot to do with the offense being simplified for him. But, he's showing that each step of the way, no matter what they're putting on his plate, he can deliver. There's definitely things they lean on a lot of crossing routes, a lot of like attacking the outsides. He does take shots, which makes him, potential to some, mistakes. He hasn't thrown too many interceptions this year. He's actually completing almost, 67% of his passes with 17 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So he has been efficient. He's developed a rapport with his weapons as well. And you see that on a weekly basis with Keenan Allen and former first-round pick Mike Williams. They almost knocked off the Raiders. The Raiders were playing really well, and they've been a really good team. The Raiders hold the 6th seed right now. So the Chargers played them tight. The Chargers played the Chiefs tight. They haven't gotten blown out at all this season. So, considering now their offensive weapons, they have these 2 dynamic receivers on the outside. Keenan Allen's a route running expert, probably the best route runner in the game. excellent understanding of defenses, and he finds the open space and coverages and sits in the proper spot in the zone. He's going to be a nuisance. He's going to convert some third downs. He's going to find those holes that, if there's any mistakes, he's going to take advantage of it. Mike Williams on the other side is a physical freak. He's a big receiver. Think Devontae Parker. He was also kind of a middle of the first round pick. He kind of disappointed, but he's starting to come into his own. He does remind me a lot of Devontae Parker, but his upside is higher. He's stronger at the point of attack, and I believe he's a little bit better of an athlete after the catch. So he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. But again, the Dolphins do have a pretty good secondary, and so I'm curious to see what Brian Flores is going to do in terms of matchups. Are they going to have Xavier Howard and Byron Jones stay on their, dependent sides of the field? They're going to have a left-right scheme where really they're just going to get comfortable in that side of the field, and whoever is there, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, they'll take that responsibility, or will they want to match them up based on body type? Xavier Howard last week matched up against DeAndre Hopkins. If you had asked me before the game, I would have thought that was a Byron Jones responsibility, just to kind of stay step for step. But I think they realized that DeAndre Hopkins has to be disrupted. And we talked about last episode, Xavier Howard does that. He puts his hands into you. He's a little more physical. So trying to think, maybe Keenan Allen, maybe that's something Xavier Howard would be matched up on, trying to knock him off of his routes, trying to, disrupt, at least try to disrupt him, because Byron Jones will just shadow him, and I think Keenan Allen could potentially, kind of abuse that and use his head fakes and his understanding of his, route concepts and make sure that he finds the open hole. So I'm curious to see how that ends up playing out. If I were the Dolphins, I would consider kind of matching up Xavier Howard, and if it doesn't go well, then probably switch it up like they kind of did last week with DeAndre Hopkins. But I think if you're able to knock Keenan Allen off, I think Byron Jones, he's lengthy enough, he can kind of hold his own. If he starts getting bullied on the other side because Mike Williams is a physical freak, then maybe you want to switch it over. Again, they have a lot of weapons, so it'll be hard to fully shut down both those guys. But you're going to have to try. And thankfully, the Dolphins do have really good corners who can at least put up a fighter's chance there. They do have Hunter Henry as well. Hunter Henry's been a good tight end. For some reason, Eric Rowe's performance has been way better than we expected, and I think it's probably comfortability in the offense, and he's been shutting down tight ends. He was matched up with Larry Fitzgerald, who, although was a receiver, kind of physically, he doesn't have that same explosion. Similar to Eric Rowe, he's able to kind of shadow you, and he plays kind of that intermediate part of the field very well. So expect him to be matched up with Hunter Henry, and I think Hunter Henry shouldn't be too big of a factor. I think we'd more likely be concerned on the outsides if there's any weaknesses there, or sort of the deep middle of the field. So some keys. The other thing that's important to know, some keys, is that the Chargers did lose a lot of players to injuries. They lost Austin Eckler, their starting running back, earlier this season. So the running game has not been, anything to write home about. But former running backs coach Anthony Lynn, he was the Bills running backs coach with LaShawn McCoy. He does put a tremendous focus on the run. So some of the keys to slowing down LA's offense: Dolphins have to stop the run. The Chargers are averaging about 4 yards per attempt, and the Dolphins have not shown an ability to stop that. I mean, we saw it with Kyler Murray, and that, some good signs going forward was that Miami really struggled against Kyler Murray running the ball, not so much the organic run game with Chase Edmonds. So if the Chargers do utilize Herbert's legs, they're probably going to do that because it should be effective in certain spots, some 3rd and 4, some read option. But generally, I don't think they're going to be running the same amount that Kyler Murray did. So I think if they're just focusing on their, I believe, they should be. I think they put Kalen Ballage on the practice squad again. So unfortunately, we won't see him. But, we want to just make sure we try to stop the run first, and then let Herbert, determine the outcome of the game. We want to put the game in Herbert's hands. If this rookie quarterback is able to beat you, that's good for him. That's amazing. It's kind of what Tua did to the Cardinals. They stopped the run, and they made the Dolphins one-dimensional and forced Miami to pass the ball, and Tua was able to do it. So I think a similar game plan has to be, attacked with the Los Angeles Chargers. But so then how do we disrupt him? How do we slow him down? I just think you have to limit the rush attack early and make the Chargers play from behind and confuse Herbert. So the Patriots defense, the one that Brian Flores brought over, Bill Belichick style defense, it was known, and it's still known, on feasting on rookie quarterbacks. Why? Because of confusion. They throw so many looks and pressure from different areas, and the quarterback, pre-snap to post-snap, doesn't really know what to expect, and it never lets them get in a rhythm. we saw Jared Goff get exposed for that. Now, he's not a rookie quarterback, but his offense is, Sean McVay doesn't ask him to do too many reads, so he does kind of have the understanding of defenses to a rookie level, and I think that's what you have to hope Herbert, you can throw him off. He does seem to be better at understanding. He's been getting better and better each week, so that is concerning, but I think with a lot of the cover zero looks, bring the house down on him sometimes, make him uncomfortable. It's definitely something Miami can do. Now, we did just hear, as of me recording this, unfortunately, Kyle Van Noy and Christian Wilkins will be out for the Dolphins. So that is very concerning. Now, the thing is that has happened before, not with Christian Wilkins, but with Kyle Van Noy. So Andrew Van Ginkel should likely step into that role, and I think he should be able to perform admirably. And frankly, he'll provide a little bit more of a pass rushing ability. Now, Kyle Van Noy, in terms of holding on and reading their keys and holding on to his side of the field, was very effective against Kyler Murray. But I don't think it will be too much of a drop-off, with Andrew Van Ginkel in there in terms of like a execution standpoint, as long as the rest of the defense does their job and kind of make sure they stay on assignment. Because we did see that, Andrew Van Ginkel did step in for a couple games for Kyle Van Noy against the San Francisco 49ers, where he returned the touchdown and made some plays, and almost intercepted the pass against the Jets, where he also played for Kyle Van Noy. So I think that will be all right, but definitely concerning with Christian Wilkins because Miami's already thin at defensive tackle. Devon Godchau's been out with a biceps injury. He's on injured reserve, and hopefully he's able to return by the end of the year. But for this week, what's coming up, he's not going to be available, and neither will Christian Wilkins. So that means Zach Sealer is going to get a lot of opportunity, as well as Raekwon Davis, who's already been playing a lot and playing pretty well. Now, turning to the offensive side of the ball for Miami's offense against LA's defense, the strength of the Chargers' defense is their front seven. It's their pass rush. They have Melvin Ingram. They got Joey Bosa. In order for Miami to be effective offensively, they have to establish a run game. So the good news is despite the pass rush that they're effective in, they aren't really good at stopping the run. They've been allowing about 5 yards per carry. So Miami should have a chance, and Matt Breida will be able to come back. Hopefully, he practiced this week on a limited basis, and it is a hamstring injury, so you really never know with soft tissue. So if he's not able to go, expect them to sprinkle in a little more Savon Ahmed as well as Patrick Laird, with Howard probably being used more so in a third and short and goal line situation. He might start the game out to sort of establish some form of physical presence on that defensive front, make them kind of feel some thick running back, so that way later in the game, if Miami's able to have a lead, they can kind of pound the ball a little bit more up the middle. But if Matt Breida is able to play, this could be his breakout game for the Dolphins. He hasn't really had that game where he's made that play where you're like, oh, Matt Breida showing that speed, breaking out for a 35, 40-yard run, catching it. He did have that screen pass that he took out for about 25, 30 yards, but it's few and far between with him, so we definitely want to see a little bit more. The Chargers don't have the best pass defense. They did lose Derwin James at the start of the season, that safety who's way better than Minkah Fitzpatrick. Screw you, Minkah. We all hate you. But it's not as good of a matchup because Preston Williams was placed on injured reserve with a foot sprain, so he's likely to miss 3 games or so. So, the predicament at wideout isn't the best. So in his absence, Miami's going to need to find some new options. And thankfully, there are some names to look out for. The usual, Devontae Parker. He'll be a big factor. Hopefully, Miami can stretch the field a little bit. They take some shots. A lot of those passes that Tua was looking, at Preston's direction maybe can, go towards Devontae. Usually the safety is shaded over him because they know the threat he is and they respect it, which was what was opening up those looks for Preston Williams. So on the other side, who can replace that? So, maybe a guy like Jakeem Grant, try to take the top off with him. He does have a rapport with Tua, and it's kind of shined through, in his first game against the Jets. He found him on that third down conversion, and he definitely made some throws to him and trusted him down the stretch against the Cardinals with that big third and 10 throw of 9 yards, as well as right before the half when he threw it out to Jakeem. It seems like they've practiced together and have a good rapport. Mac Hollins, he's also going to get some more opportunities. He's a big physical guy. kind of struggles with separating. Doesn't really separate. You can see that back against the Eagles. He doesn't have that quick twitch. And when he was at North Carolina, it showed through a little bit more because he's playing less athletic. The caliber of athlete wasn't as high, and he is a physical guy. Who we saw it. He's able to kind of make catches over the top, but he doesn't consistently get separation. So hopefully that's improved, and we'll see he's going to get some opportunities. And then some of the young players are going to need to step up. Lynn Bowden Jr., he got activated off the COVID list. He was traded for a fourth rounder with the Raiders. We saw him do some Wildcat stuff with Malcolm Perry. But honestly, I hope we get to see him more in the slot, get to see if that transition to wide receiver is working, because that trade could look very good if he's able to make some plays for the team. And then, like we mentioned, Malcolm Perry, he did have a drop. It was a tough throw. It was a quick slant, fastball down over the middle of the field. Again, like his, early in his career, I'll forgive some of that stuff, but really need to see him start paying off. He is a 7th round pick, so you don't want to put too many expectations, but in order for him to actually establish himself in this offense, he needs to sort of capitalize on those opportunities. Speaking of capitalizing on opportunities, the last two, Kirk Merritt, he's a very dynamic player. He played at Arkansas State. He was an undrafted free agent that Miami signed. He will likely be activated. He was activated last week. He never saw the field, but maybe with the loss of Preston Williams and a week sort of implementing into the game plan, he might see some quick screens outside, underneath routes, things along those lines, and with the ball in his hands, he could make some guys miss. So that'll be exciting, as well as Antonio Callaway, who in terms of a talent standpoint, just pure raw talent, is arguably right there with Preston Williams. He's amazing. It's just that he can't keep his head straight and stay on the field. He was drafted, I believe, in the middle rounds by the Cleveland Browns back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason he was taken that late, he had issues off the field, and they've presented to this point in his career. He's been suspended. There's a reason we haven't seen him. He was suspended. So, you hope that he can be implemented and he's able to become a dynamic factor, because I think a guy like him with his speed, change of direction, his route running ability, it's definitely something that would mesh very well with Tua on the outside, kind of more in the mold of a Waddle and a Devontae Smith. That type of receiver, Jerry Jeudy, less of the big physical guy that he didn't really have at Alabama. I think he kind of likes the speed and separation, and I think a guy like Antonio Callaway would be great for that. If these receivers are able to be implemented and the offense doesn't miss a beat, it could be really beneficial for the team moving forward. And also the Chargers won't really have film on a lot of these players on how Antonio Callaway would be used with the Dolphins, or what Miami wants to do with Malcolm Perry and Lynn Bowden. So this could be beneficial. But at the end of the day, it does boil down to Tua. Unless these receivers are dropping all the passes and not helping him out at all, if they're able to just get open and catch a good ball that's thrown to them, it's going to be on Tua. Will he be able to have a repeat performance? Will he show command of the offense? Comfortability? Will it continue? Because he looked really good against Arizona. He looked like a quarterback who knew what he was doing, knew where he wanted to go, understood what the defense was doing to him, and made the right reads and the right throws. And also a little wiggle, as a buzzword is out there these days. He showed a little wiggle. So definitely something that if he's able to do again, this is the defense. You're going to establish a run game. You're going to give it to some weapons, make plays, put the ball in your playmakers' hands. This could be a game where Miami goes, scores in the high 20s again. So if he's able to do that, Miami has a really great chance to win this game. If he regresses a little bit, the Chargers are able to throw some stuff at him. Maybe he gets hit early. The pass rush is there all game, and he's a little frazzled. Then Herbert will have his chance at revenge on the Dolphins. Again, that's a storyline that I'm excited to sort of see. The guys on the field won't really be thinking about it, but as fans, the Dolphins had an opportunity to take Justin Herbert, and I believe Tua is the right option. I still do. Pre-draft, I felt that way, and I think he's showing everything that you hoped that he'd show thus far, and hopefully that continues. But Herbert's shown a lot as well. So, credit where credit's due. Justin Herbert's been amazing, and I think he has every right to be a little pissed off at Miami for thinking that someone was better than him, even though he might be. But Herbert doesn't think that way, and neither do the Chargers right now, as they've been doing really well offensively and try to hopefully have that continue. But I don't think the Dolphins defense is going to let that happen. My final prediction for the game is I think the Dolphins are going to win it. I think they'll be up early. I think it'll be close at the start, but I think Miami will end up winning 30-20. Dolphins 30, Chargers 20. Let us know. Tweet me at PhinsPod. Talk to us on Instagram as well. Let me know what you guys think of this game.
Cliff Kingsbury does not hesitate, and he sends out his kicker, Zane Gonzalez. This to tie the game at 34. From 49 yards away, and Gonzalez is short. He did not get it there. It was on target, but did not have the distance. And it's Miami football. 1:05 to go. Tua's going to try to do it himself, pushing the pile forward, and I think he's got enough.
That's a ball game.
What a win for Tua and the Dolphins. They improved to 5-3 on the year.
Thank you guys so much for listening. That'll do it for us here today. Hopefully you guys enjoy the game this weekend. Two young and dynamic quarterbacks. Boy, it feels like we could get a lot of those the rest of the way, going down the stretch with Joe Burrow. Get to see Tua matched up with Patrick Mahomes as well and Drew Lock. But this week it's going to be awesome to compare these two quarterbacks' playing styles. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the PhinsPod. As always, I really hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to share the podcast if you can with other Dolphins fans, who want to talk Fins. Remember to subscribe to the show wherever it is you're listening, just to never miss a chance to chat about your favorite team, the Miami Dolphins. The show is available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, wherever it is. And continue the conversation with us at PhinsPod on Twitter and Instagram. Check out the site for news and content, phinspod.com, and I hope you have an amazing day. And until next time, stay safe. Love y'all.